The day before is a disaster. Well, admittedly, we already knew that, but it's somehow magically getting worse.
In the previous installment of What on Earth is Going On with the Day Before, we discussed how the game's at the time newly released trailer revealed the developer's use of unaltered, straight from the store bought assets plopped into the world, showcased a real lack of any notable mechanic systems features.
I don't need mechanics when that ass is that tight, boy. I don't need them. That's just icing on the top, honestly.
Or enemies in the game. There just wasn't much of anything going on, and that the intro to that trailer was clearly a shot-for-shot, one-for-one identical ripoff of a Call of Duty Black Ops trailer, continuing the developer's tradition of heavily inspired to the point of possible infringement, those just added to the top of the...
By the way, that's not possible infringement. That's most likely infringement, because you can't one-for-one do it, even if it's not the same assets.
Growing list of red flags surrounding the game, with things like the fact that the developer's history includes not one but two early access games that they abandoned shortly after release, them delaying the day before 1 month out from their launches, not once but 2 times. They did this twice. First, reportedly because they wanted to upgrade to Unreal Engine 5, despite the fact that the game's visuals have clearly degraded over time. And the second last-minute delay happened because of a trademark dispute. A dispute that they claimed not knowing about ahead of time, resulting in Valve removing the day before from Steam, after which the developer announced an 8-month delay. We later on discovered, since the trademark process is public record, that Fantastic absolutely knew that there was an issue, likely back in August of last year, if not at the latest in November, when they were sent a notice that the trademark was not approved. And then just a few days after all of that happened, Fantastic came out speaking to IGN and said that they were actually planning to delay the game prior to this trademark issue, which meant that their entire statement, being that the delay was happening because of this trademark thing that they just found out about and they were completely blindsided by, was just a lie. They had just lied about it. And then shortly after that,
you know what's my favorite part about all of this? It's kind of funny, but the truth is, there are companies that do this sort of thing. They just make games that sound fun, appease to people who want the next big thing, and they're gonna just throw money at it, and they're just gonna go away and abandon it or not finish it, or deliver something half-baked or whatever, and they're gonna move on, make the same thing again, and get money more. Until the moment something actually happens and they do get sued for fraud or something like that. But man, does this actually work?
The 10-minute gameplay trailer, along with a few others, were subsequently removed from YouTube due to trademark issues. It is honestly exhausting trying to keep up with everything that surrounds the day before, but I do so, frankly, because... well, I mean, man, what a story, but also what a disappointment from what at one time was Steam's most wish-listed game to the mess of everything that's happened since then. So that was everything, basically, as of early February when we released our last day before video. And there have been a few updates since, which we'll get to right after.
Phew, it's 20 minutes, my boys.
After this, today's video is sponsored by Skillshare.
Skillshare
is an online learning...
You know what to do. Go click on my link below. It takes it to the video, and then you can actually click on the link if you actually care about Skillshare. One of the most useless platforms, one of the biggest ripoffs that you can find on the internet. Skillshare is stupid. Skillshare literally provides you nothing that you can't find on a Google search. By the way, save your money. Do not go to Skillshare.
On February 12th, Fantastic released a statement on Twitter that was addressing the removal from Steam, as well as the fact that some of their videos were taken off of YouTube. The statement reads as follows. First, Steam and then YouTube removed some of the day before videos from our channel due to a trademark dispute. 3 facts. 1, the so-called owner of the rights of the title is the creator of the calendar app, which has nothing to do with the game's category. They are correct in that the trademark for the day before is related to a calendar app and not a video game. I don't understand the point of calling them a so-called owner, because they are not the so-called owner of the day before trademark. They are the owner of the day before trademark, all of which is publicly available information, which we'll recap here in a second. Fact number 2. After we announced the game...
By the way, if anyone's wondering, them saying this stuff is completely legal. Them lying about this stuff, literally legal. Insane, huh?
In 2021, he also wanted to take over the title and file the trademark ahead of us. This fact is also accurate, although it conveniently leaves out the fact that they waited a year after revealing the game to even send in the application for trademark for the name the day before. So it's not like it took much to beat them to the punch. And fact number 3, he ambiguously offers to contact him to discuss something, but what?
What does that even mean?
Wait, what? And they wrap it up by saying, "We'll fight, power is in the truth." Beyond the last part of that statement, they do...
Bruh, this is literally the legal equivalent of my dad is gonna beat up your dad. Bruh! Your dad's gonna drink a Monster Energy drink and get enough energy to beat you and your mom, okay?
Obviously are focused on this whole trademark issue, the trademark debate, because this is what are causing the biggest issue for the day before at the moment. It's the reason a lot of their videos have been pulled from YouTube. It's also the reason the game no longer has a Steam page and apparently won't anytime in the near future, because this is still an ongoing issue. So this is the trademark history. And again, keep in mind, all of this information publicly available. I can give you guys links in the description below if you want to check it out for yourself. But
I'm pretty sure everything involving trademarks is always public domain knowledge.
This is the timeline of the trademark filing for the day before. So we know that Fantastic, they revealed that game with that first initial trailer. This was back in January 2021. At that time, the name was free and available for trademark, but they didn't apply for it for whatever reason. Then in June 2021, 6 months after the game gets revealed, Soon-Jae Lee files a trademark application for the day before, and this was to be used for a calendar app that they had made, just basically like keeping track of things, birthdays, appointments, stuff like that. It's just a calendar app, right? But it's called the day before. They file trademark for this. Then in January 2022, Fantastic finally submits their application for trademark for the day before. This was 7 months after Soon-Jae Lee did the trademark for their calendar app, and again, a full year after they revealed their game. So in August...
By the way, if anyone's wondering how these trademark things work, this is the best example possible. There was, I think it was Domino's Pizza or some very known American pizzeria company, and they did not have their own trademark for their domain or something like that. Some random guy just took it for laughs, you know? That's essentially the situation. They sued the person who had the trademark for their domain, or... Oh, no. I have a better one. Xbox. Xbox.com was owned by a guy who filed a trademark for that domain or something like that. And then Microsoft or whoever tried to sue him to get and say that, hey, he owns the trademark for this in these circumstances, but we are the Xbox that everyone knows, or whatever company it was. And the courts literally said to their lawyers, who are probably getting paid near $100 million per year. Well, he has the trademark. I don't care. Because you're bigger, you don't get the trademark. First come, first serve. Things under trademark are actually that set in stone. If you're the first, it doesn't matter if there's someone with 1 trillion billion followers who wants it. You're not getting it. And you can't even sue to get it. Trademarks are serious stuff.
August 2022, Soon-Jae Lee trademark was then at that point published for opposition, which from what I understand, this basically means this was the time where Fantastic were notified, could and should have stepped in to say, hey, no, we want that trademark. We've got this game. It's got a ton of views on, it's got a page on Steam. It's got a ton of views on YouTube. Apparently, and as they said, they didn't know anything and they didn't do anything.
That's
because
a lie.
come November 2022, the opposition window closes. Time had passed and Soon-Jae Lee's trademark for the day before at that point gets approved. It is official. It is on the books. The day before belongs to Soon-Jae Lee. In that same month, in November, according to the official U.S. Patent and Trademark Office records, which again, it's all publicly available. You can look this stuff up yourself. Fantastic at that point received an action notice that their trademark would not be going through. Basically, that their application for that name was being denied. They say that they didn't find out about the trademark issue until January 2023, but According to the
Obvious lie.
official public trademark records, they should have known that there was a problem as of August 2022 when that notice of opposition for trademark got published. But even if they didn't know then, they absolutely found out and should have known in November that their trademark wasn't being processed because the day before was already owned by someone else. So with all of that publicly available info, them coming out and like doubling down with this Twitter statement, as well as with discussions in various interviews, like that interview with IGN, saying, oh no, we didn't know about the trademark issue until right before we were supposed to launch, and then Steam took our game off of their store, and then YouTube took our videos down, and we get this,
Oh, no.
God, this is terrible. We had no, they knew. They absolutely knew. They're either lying about knowing and are just using this as a convenient excuse to delay a game that most likely isn't ready from all accounts.
The spray and pray that you see here is absolutely so terrible. I just can't look at it, honestly.
From everything we've seen, it doesn't look like a finished product yet. They probably need more time, which doesn't surprise me. Or if they're not lying about all of this, then that means they filed for trademark for the day before and then just didn't follow up on anything and somehow missed all of the official warning.
I mean, I actually, from a business standpoint, actually see how things are happening here. It's possible they did not know because they're incompetent, and this is a very easy way that this can happen. It's because these people don't actually care to make a good product or finish actually anything. They have a history of not doing these things. So they are cutting corners everywhere, which means they probably don't care about these things. They are hiring people who don't actually care to do a lot of work, okay? They have someone who this email goes to, and that someone either forgot to forward the email because it's important, or they forwarded it incorrectly, or maybe something like that, or they forwarded it correctly and the person who's supposed to look at it doesn't give a shit and actually forgot about it. 100% the most likely scenario in this situation is that they somehow forgot about it. That they legitimately forgot about it because of some kind of form of ineptitude. Like, this can happen even in bigger companies, better companies. This is, by the way, the golden reason why there exists things like middle managers. Also, the H3 situation where their previous bureaucrat, bookkeeper, I forget the English name constantly, but you know, the person that does accountant, their accountant actually didn't give a shit and do their job, is because there's no middle management. Middle management exists because the people under you can be lazy and not do their job properly, and middle management is supposed to catch it, and the middle management above the middle management is supposed to also catch that. This is why you have so much middle management that seems useless, because if there's one person who everything goes up to, and the people before that are incompetent, don't care, and simply don't want to do their job, well, then the job's not going to get done. Situations like this are a perfect example of why middle management exists and should exist.
And documentation that they got sent, that we know they got sent through the trademark application process. Either one of these, whether it is that they are lying and using this as a convenient excuse to delay the game because they need more time, seems highly likely, or that they filed for trademark and just like said, well, that's it, right? We filed and it must be ours, and just didn't pay attention to any of the other documentation, notices, whatever. Either one of those things, not a particularly great look for the developer or a good outlook for the game. As of today, this issue still hasn't been resolved, or it has, I guess. The Day Before trademark is currently still belonging to Soonjae Lee for the calendar app that they are making. The Day Before game has still not returned to Steam, and those YouTube videos that got pulled for trademark disputes have still not been reinstated. Fantastic has came out and stated that, yeah, we're working on this. We got like top 8 #1 lawyers that are going to fix this problem. The truth will prevail.
There's no shot it works. Again, there's no shot. Maybe my story explanation of this wasn't good, but there's no shot. If someone files a trademark before you, well, tough luck, idiot.
Or as they said in their Twitter statement, we'll fight, power is in the truth. The truth is, you revealed your game, you waited a full year to trademark, someone else trademarked for another thing. And so having all of this freely available and them having, again, doubling down, like, no, we had no clue. What? How, that trademark? What is that? We filed for it, but we don't understand. Hire someone who does, I guess, and I hope that they resolve this. Or the other thing is change the name of the game. The Day Before isn't even a particularly great name. Just change the name of the game if this isn't going to work. Or maybe they don't want to.
I mean, I think The Day Before is actually a pretty decent name, but that's just personal opinion. But yeah, it's nothing that special, you know? So, yeah, you might as well change it as The Days Before, which would, by the way, be probably completely illegal in trademark patents. So, you know, almost the same thing, but different, so it's good.
Too, because again, they could just be using this as a convenient excuse for the delay. Updates on all of that trademark stuff is just one bit of the new information and things that I wanted to discuss.
Exciting.
Next is, interestingly enough, even though they don't own the trademark to The Day Before, they are still freely using the name. For example, in some videos that they have published, there was a developer vlog that they released in mid-February after releasing that 10-minute gameplay video. This was actually as well probably the best video that they've shown for the game thus far. It showcased development of The Day Before as it's gone through since 2019, and putting on display exactly how things have changed with time. So originally, the game had more stylized visuals.
Doesn't look
you could
good.
say akin to something like Fortnite, although at a glance, it actually reminds me quite a lot of State of Decay. And they had quite a few gameplay clips in here with like characters running around the environment, fighting zombies, driving through buildings, smashing through fences, placing down camps. Funny enough, this version of The Day Before seems a whole lot more like a real fleshed out video game than everything that we've seen of the current iteration. That video mentions how in 2020, thanks to funding from their publisher Mytona, they made some significant changes to the game, resulting in what we have seen from 2021 until today, which, mind you, that in and of itself has seemed to go through several changes. If you compare the gameplay trailer, that initial reveal trailer in 2021, to that most recent 10-minute gameplay reveal from February, visually those look like entirely different games. Like, again, it looks like the style of the
look at that, Beach Boys! They know what's up. Best game ever. Wishlist on Steam. Give them money. Donate. We gotta make this happen. They know what's up. I mean, yeah, we also know what's up. But, you know, still, it's good, boy.
Went through a pretty big overhaul from 2021 to early 2023. This looks the most legit out of everything that they've revealed so far, although it's not enough to make me forget all of those prior discussed issues in previous video coverage of this game. They've also continued the, I guess what I would call fairly odd marketing with things like this hot tub video. It's like a minute-long video that shows a guy walking into a spa, sitting in a tub for a minute, and then leaving. And then most recently, just a few weeks ago, IGN published a new trailer with this 20 seconds of a car driving fast through downtown. By the way, IGN way to carry water for this game with everything that's come up. Well, I guess I shouldn't say. I'm not surprised. It is IGN after all. But yeah, this thing was massively disliked. It's like 90% dislike ratio. It's got some pretty hilarious comments in there, honestly. A lot of references to like the Fast and Furious. And I don't know. I'm trying to not to be overly picky on this game.
The Day Before. Family. Yeah, that's what everyone probably wants in reality.
I'm trying to not be too petty about things. It's I cannot believe as I continue to make videos and I continue to follow the coverage and the developer and interviews and the way they present this game and the way they present themselves and the way they talk about themselves in the studio, and it just is something just doesn't really sit right with it all. It just seems like, again, as I've said before, I don't think a scam is the right word, but it definitely seems like they're doing a bit of hoodwinking here. Look at what the game was in 2019, then look at the reveal trailer they had in 2021, and then look at the most recent gameplay trailer from February. It's like, it looks like 3 different games, right?
It all makes sense if you don't think about it at the end of the day.
It's just kind of crazy. And the fact that out of all of the footage that they've shown so far for the current iteration of The Day Before, so much of it seems scripted. When they did finally reveal that gameplay trailer, which has since been yoinked off of YouTube, again, because of those trademark issues, even that was like, there was like 5 zombies in the whole thing, barely any showcasing of systems and features. There were more systems and features in that 2019 version that they showed in the devlog.
By the way, if a game shows you gameplay, but it's literally running and maybe one small 3-second encounter, that is a red flag. that should always be a red flag that this game is unpolished. Because if the best they can do in showcasing gameplay is showing a character run, if you can find a single thing that you see wrong about that thing and you dislike about it, the whole game is probably a billion times worse. That's my golden standard for rating gameplay trailers. If they only show running and maybe one small tidbit encounter that most likely is a very specific scripted animation, that game is gonna be garbage most likely. That's my golden rule.
And I guess if nothing else, that gives me hope that if they had that in 2019 in their cartoony-esque aesthetic version of the game, maybe all of that stuff and more, then we can assume will be in the current, most recent iteration of the game that's supposed to be coming out in November. I guess we will wait and see.
Yep.
Now, probably some of the most substantial new bits of new things was actually an interview that they did following that car video that they released a couple of weeks ago. We saw a fairly lengthy developer interview over on wellplayed.com. And they actually opened up with, I guess, what I would call a somewhat hard-hitting question, saying, are we able to get an update on the game's legal situation and if it will be returning to Steam? Is there any chance you will change the name? And the developer's answer, well, here it is. We believe that power is in the truth. Okay. We were the first to start using the name related to the video game. This is true.
Oh,
this
boy.
Is an indisputable fact, as they say. Rooted in...
But it doesn't matter. It does not matter. It will not matter in court if they go there. And they probably will not because it's pointless. It won't matter. You know, first come, first serve. Even if that would not magically be enough. It's like, hey, but you got a warning for this and you literally chose to do nothing? Yeah, and? Well, that means you don't want it, technically, right? No, we want it, and you're gone. You're out. Yeah, there's no shot it works out for them.
In our belief in justice, we are optimistic about regaining our name through legal proceedings as swiftly as possible. They give absolutely no timeline here, and as of yet, again, the day before still belongs to Sunjae Lee. We wanted to reassure our community that our Steam page will be reinstated soon. A couple weeks after this interview posted, it is still not up. We'll be back at the top of the wish list. Okay, maybe. Currently,
nice.
Our primary focus remains on the development of the game itself. Trademark-related matters are being managed by our newly formed New Zealand joint venture with our publisher Mytona, aptly named Mytona Fantastic. So they're saying that thanks to their rooted belief in justice, that that's not how this works at all. The trademark was filed before you. Again, I think the biggest thing is whether or not a day before trademark for a calendar app and a day before trademark for a video game can exist simultaneously. I
don't know that, but I assume no, because because I have never heard of a situation that there's Apple, you know, the over expensive gadget, and there's like Apple, the, I don't know, convenience store chain. You know, I have never heard. I don't think I may be wrong. I actually don't know this. But I'm pretty sure there's no such situation where two trademarks can coexist. Like, Apple will actually go ahead and try to sue literally anyone who even remotely resembles their logo. And by the way, you can look it up. Every big company, Microsoft tries to sue almost anyone who uses a square as their logo. Apple sues literally everyone who tries to use just the fruit as their logo, because no one wants to ever be associated with, ever have the risk of your brand being associated to something else, because that risks losing sales.
Assume, barring any arguments of brand confusion, that those two things could exist side by side. Or they could just change their name, because the day before isn't even a particularly good name. Just change your name and we'll move on, right? They were asked about the heavy inspiration that the game looks to pull from The Last of Us and The Division, and they then said, hey, were these deliberate design choices to blend elements from those games? Are you inspired by anything else? And their response was, yes, of course we were inspired by those two, but also, quote here, by simply observing our surroundings, engaging in introspection and understanding the intricacies of human experience, we often uncover the most profound inspirations. This unique blend of drawing from life and top-tier gaming helps shape our creative process.
I don't know how you look at real life and make even a single gaming mechanic except hunger and, sleepiness. Dude, Bruh, if this doesn't turn out to be an absolute 100% scam at the very, very end, I'll honestly be super surprised.
Allowing us to craft unique and innovative experiences for our players. We're talking about a zombie survival game. We're talking about a zombie survival game that seems like it might not have a big emphasis on PvE.
Bruh, we're talking about the meaning of life here, okay, Force? Currently, you're talking about zombie survival game. They're thinking bigger. They're thinking about higher things. Their goal in life is a little bit more big, you know?
Which I'll touch on in a coming up question. A zombie survival game that's probably going to amount to just players shooting each other. Like, fine, this is all great stuff, like observing your surroundings, engaging in introspection, understanding the intricacies of human experience. Is this really translating to the day before? This is what I'm talking about, man. So much of what this developer puts out, it just seems like so convoluted, like unnecessarily attempting to be deep about their zombie survival game. And we're not talking about a game that's looking to have like a huge narrative focus, right? It's not like this is The Last of Us, where a quote like that would make a whole lot of sense. This is like a multiplayer, probably going to be grief-heavy survival game. If it has VoIP, just expect that to be a disaster, as it always is, right? But so just whatever, you know. Introspection is great. Fine. All right, next up we actually get some information about some gameplay.
Nice.
So let's put all those concerns aside.
Oh boy.
Let's pretend this is a real genuine thing that's going to be coming out. They talk a bit about gameplay in the interview as well, asking, are you able to share some details about how the core gameplay will work? Will there be story/missions and objectives like in The Division, or will players simply venture out into the open world? Have you made the decision about how many players will populate a server? The answer was, the day before is an open world post-apocalyptic sandbox. Here, players will have the opportunity to fully immerse themselves in this new world, exploring a huge skyscraper city called New Fortune City, purchasing houses and vehicles, and creating unique personal narratives along the way. While our game predominantly leans towards player versus player engagement.
Unique personal narratives already sounds a little bit too much, honestly. They're already trying to sell something that's honestly not going to happen. Well, it is going to happen because by unique personal narratives, they are saying you're thrown into a game. Yeah, congratulations. It's your own unique personal narrative. That's what they obviously mean in reality by this. But they want it to sound fancy so they can sell a bigger fantasy to people who don't know that.
Engagements. We will also incorporate quests centered around the restoration of society. We cannot provide specifics regarding player population per server at this stage, as we are currently in the testing phase. We are committed to striking the perfect balance between a dynamic, populated world and optimal gameplay performance. Our primary aim is to provide the most thrilling experience and whatever the best survival games worldwide. Some new things here that I don't recall ever seeing in the past. We knew that this was a open world game. Their use of the word sandbox I find is pretty interesting. This could just be in reference to there being not many main objectives that are kind of holding your hand. They were also asked if there's going to be various types of enemies and zombies, and then their response was, within the boundaries of realism, we've designed various types of infected to add to the complexity and thrill of the game. However, it's essential to note that the core focus of the game isn't solely on zombies. Instead, the heart of our game lies within the interactions and experiences with the players themselves as they navigate and inhabit this post-apocalyptic.
That actually does sound good. That's how a zombie game should be, in my opinion, honestly.
World. I really think that this is an out for the fact that we can probably reasonably expect there to not be a lot of zombies in this game. As we saw in that 10-minute gameplay trailer, the world looked pretty barren. We noticed that there weren't a lot of other zombies or other players, and they are stating here that the core focus of the game isn't the zombies, but it is the interaction with players. So I'm really just
okay, yeah, that's not what I like, actually. There should still be a lot of zombies in your zombie survival game, but, you know, interactions between players should be, like, the highlight, you know, the best part. You know, are they friendly? Are they actually not friendly? Because I want to see a zombie survival game that actually makes it so that once in a blue moon, you don't actually just want to instantaneously just pop the person you see before you and you want to make friends with them, because surviving as two is just so better than surviving as one.
expecting the game to be fairly zombie light. I just feel like that is a reasonable takeaway from this particular portion of the interview. So there's a couple of other things in here. They talk about the survival colonies, which are just basically NPC towns that you can go to chill, do
With
various
hot
like
tubs.
side things, like, you know, play musical instruments and relax in the hot tub like we've seen, or work out in the gym. They were asked about base building, and apparently there is going to be some customization. We did see this in one of their prior trailers. And then finally, and most notably, they were asked about the current planned release date, the announced release date of November 10th. And the response to this was, we are excited to confirm that the day before will launch first on PC, slated for November 10. Immediately following this release, we will be sharing a roadmap of forthcoming updates to keep our player base engaged and excited. This roadmap will include new features and content additions, emphasizing our commitment to continuous game development, something that they have not committed to with their prior games. Both of their prior PC releases that came to early access.
Again, yeah, you should remember that. This seems very, very sus and very bad, so you should probably not have high hopes.
Were abandoned a few months to just a couple of months after those were released, and I think whether or not the day before is going to continue to see support is going to entirely depend on its popularity. It is worth amending that, though, and adding that their most recent game, which was Prop Night, that prop hunt / Dead by Daylight hybrid game, that has continued to see support, even though reviews
Oh,
are
that's
not
a
good
thing
currently, as
still?
it states at the moment. They at least haven't abandoned that one as of yet. And then they said that their initial focus is on the PC platform, and that console updates will be coming later down the line, and we will just have to wait and see. So those are the biggest takeaways from that interview. I just think all around, while I am really happy to have that dev vlog that showed how the game has changed from 2019 to today, I am still not that much more confident in where we sit at the moment. There have just been, I guess, way too many missteps and issues, and again, those red flags cropping up time and time again to leave me with any confidence that this is going to be like a game that we should legitimately be excited for. We can be intrigued, we can be curious, and at least I'll speak for myself. I am intrigued and curious and just want to continue to follow the game. And I will tell you, this is one of my most anticipated games of 2023. Not anticipated because I think it's going to be one of the best games, but like the anticipation is palpable. I cannot wait until this thing comes out, because I just want to see where all the chips fall when it finally releases. It's just been really, really interesting. And
it's probably just gonna be like, you know, half-assed, you know, like not a pure scam, but definitely not an actual worthwhile game to play. And the developers are gonna most likely say, well, maybe a miracle happens and this pops off. And after a few months when it doesn't, it's like, okay, onward, the next project, boys. Okay, how can we entice the biggest amount of people now? You know? It seems like this developer is just literally hoping for a miracle.
I do want to wrap up by just saying, as I have said in some prior coverage of the game, the reason we're following this game with such a microscope is pretty clearly, at least to me, because there is so much yearning for a game like this, a good variation of an open world zombie survival game, you know?
I mean, everyone always wants an open world zombie survival game. It is what it is. It's an undying classic. Get it? Undying?
We do know Naughty Dog is working on their Last of Us multiplayer game, although that apparently, I saw recent reports, has seen some hiccups and might be delayed from what their initial window was for release, so we might not be seeing that as soon as we may have hoped. But there is clearly a yearning for a new zombie survival multiplayer experience. There is a market for this. It's pretty evident to me, and I hope some developers can step up and deliver on it. I'm not expecting Fantastic to do a fantastic job of this genre. They haven't done a fantastic job with any of their prior games, frankly. Despite whatever the fate of the day before ends up being, I hope that other companies and developers use this as an obvious sign that there is a thirst for this style of game.
And that they can't do things as this company is doing, because that's just going to lead to disaster.
And that someone should come in and fill that void. That would be great. That's what I am ultimately hoping for, however this thing turns out. But that is it for today's update on the day before. Thank you guys for watching. I will continue to keep you posted as time goes on, and we are...
Yep, that's Forge Gaming. Good video, not gonna lie. Interesting. I think this is gonna be a mess, obviously, but, you know, we will see. It's an interesting thing to follow, because just how much of a mess and tangled web of things and whatnots it is, but whatever. Anyway, this was Quizzer Sin. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.